Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a bookshelf tour. I get really excited about bookshelf tours. I love bookshelf tours. I love watching them. So these are my bookshelves as of start of 2022. I figured I'd do it at the beginning of the year before I've read anything so that it's just a complete fresh slate. These are all the books that I own that I've read prior to reading anything in the year. I have my books separated, read and unread, so all of the books that I will be showing you today I have read. All my unread books live in my bedroom. This is not my bedroom. This is my office or study. It's a bit of a mess right now, so I'm not going to show you everything. I'll just show you the bookshelves. So these main bookshelves behind me, the two wide ones and the skinny one, are full height Billy bookshelves from IKEA. We don't actually have IKEA here in New Zealand, so I had to buy them from a furniture store that imported them from IKEA, but they're here. And I also have a half height wide one just off to the side that you can't see that has all my classics and my non-fiction books on. Behind me right now is just all general fiction, so it's all my adult, young adult, middle grade fiction that's neither classic nor non-fiction. I have my books in this section alphabetized by author's last name. Over on my classics section, they are organized by collection. My non-fiction is organized by author's surname. That is my organization method. This is an overview of my shelves. I think they look pretty good. I don't have any extras decorating the top of my big ones at the moment. I recently had to shuffle them over to make space to put my record player where it is, because that's where the plug is. So I took everything off my shelves so I could move them, and I never put the stuff along the top back up there. At the moment it's all in a pile on the floor, hence why I'm not showing you the rest of my room. So we're gonna go through these big three main shelves first, and then we will go through the one with the classics and the non-fiction books. Also, side note, the books are organized going across all three shelves as opposed to going down then down, because I don't know, that's just what made sense to me at the time. Let's get started. So I want to apologize for this angle. My tripod is not tall enough for my bookshelf, so this is the best we can do. It's not great, but at least you can see. With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, Internment by Samira Ahmed, Darling by Kay Ankrum, Tiger Lily by Jodie Lynn Anderson, Speak by Laurie Hulse Anderson, Suitors and Sabotage by Cindy Anstey, and the companion novel Carols in Chaos by Cindy Anstey, Future Girl by Asphyxia. Then we have the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, Red Queen, Glass Sword, King's Cage, and Warstorm. Then we have the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo, Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, Ruin and Rising. Then we have the Six of Crows duology, also by Leigh Bardugo, Six of Crows, and Crooked Kingdom. Then we also have King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Bashadust. Then we have the Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black, The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and Queen of Nothing. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume. And finally, 5 to 1 by Holly Bodger. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne, illustrated by Oliver Jeffers. Then there's the Darkest Minds trilogy by Alexandra Bracken, The Darkest Minds, Never Fade, and In the Afterlight, A Whole New World by Liz Braswell. Then we have the Gemma Doyle trilogy by Libba Bray, A Great and Terrible Beauty, Rebel Angels, and The Sweet Far Thing. Then we also have the first book in the Diviners series by Libba Bray, The Diviners. Continuing on with the Diviners series by Libba Bray, Lair of Dreams, Before the Devil Breaks You, and The King of Crows. In Some Other Life by Jessica Brody, Rules for Being a Girl by Candice Bushnell and Katie Cotugno. Then I have the Selection series by Kiera Cass, The Selection, The Elite, and The One, In the Shadow of the Sun by E.M. Castellan. Then we have the School for Good and Evil series by Saman Chainani, The School for Good and Evil, A World Without Princes, The Last Ever After. These next three are still a part of the same series, but they're the Camelot years. Quests for Glory, A Crystal of Time, and One True King. Union Bell by Deborah Challoner, Fire by Deborah Challoner, Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. And then we start in on the Cassandra Clare with the first book in the Model Instruments series. So we have City of Bones, the 10th Anniversary Edition, City of Bones, the regular version, and that's this shelf. Continuing on with Cassandra Clare, we have the rest of the Model Instruments series, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. Then we have the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, Clockwork Angel, the 10th Anniversary Edition, Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. Then we have the Dark Artifices trilogy, also by Cassandra Clare, Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, and Queen of Air and Darkness. Then we have the Eldest Curses series by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu, the Red Scrolls of Magic, and the Lost Book of the White. And then we have the Last Hours series by Cassandra Clare, Chain of Gold, and Chain of Iron. Continuing on, we have even more Cassandra Clare things. The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, and Maureen Johnson. Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, Maureen Johnson, and Robin Wasserman. Ghosts of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, Maureen Johnson, Kelly Link, and Robin Wasserman. The Shadowhunters Codex by Cassandra Clare and Joshua Lewis. An Illustrated History of Notable Shadowhunters and Denizens of Downworld by Cassandra Clare, illustrated by Cassandra Jean. My original paperback copy of City of Heavenly Fire. My original paperback copy of the collector's edition of Clockwork Princess. And an advanced reader's copy of Chain of Gold. And the lone non-Cassandra Clare book on this shelf, A Shadow Bright and Burning by Jessica Lewis. We have a bunch of copies of the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. This is not close to all of them that I own, but these are the ones I decided to put on my shelves. The Australian uncorrected proof of The Hunger Games, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. This next set is from Juniper Books. They create dust jackets. The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. Then I have the White Anniversary editions, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. Then the collector's edition of The Hunger Games. American Dirt by Janine Cummins. Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. Then we have all my Roald Dahl books. James and the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, The Magic Finger, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Danny the Champion of the World, The Twits, George's Marvelous Medicine, The BFG, The Witches. These next two should probably be in my non-fiction section, but that didn't occur to me until now. So they're still here. Boy and Going Solo, The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me, Matilda, and finally Essio Trot. Bad Romance by Heather Demetrios, The Marriage Game by Sarah Desai, and then we have my Sarah Dessen books, not a series, but all by the same author, Lock and Key, Along for the Ride, What Happened to Goodbye, and finally Saint Anything. How to Break a Boy by Laurie DeVore, Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. Then we have the Penryn and the End of Days series by Susan E., Angel Fall, World After, and End of Days. Some Other Now by Sarah Everett, The Princess Bride by William Goldman, These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Then we have the Firebird trilogy by Claudia Gray, 1,000 Pieces of You, 10,000 Skies Above You, and A Million Worlds with You. The Autobiography of Santa Claus by Jeff Ginn, Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall, The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, Beyond by Katina Havelock and Angela Larkin, Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins, A Million Junes by Emily Henry, Beach Read by Emily Henry, The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. Then I have the Kiss Quotient Companion Series by Helen Huang, The Kiss Quotient, The Bride Test, and The Heart Principle. Then I have the Splintered series by A.G. Howard. Splintered, Unhinged, Ensnared, and Untamed. Stain by A.G. Howard. Then we have the Clipped Wings series by Helena Hunting, Clipped Wings, and Inked Armor. Then we have the rest of my Helena Hunting books, The Good Luck Charm, Meet Cute, and Kiss My Cupcake. Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez, Juniper Lemon's Happiness Index by Julie Israel, Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, Tokyo Ever After by Amiko Jean, Uninvited by Sophie Jordan, and The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. The Midnight Dance by Nikki Katz. Then we have the Starbound trilogy by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, These Broken Stars, This Shattered World, and Their Fractured Light. Then we have the Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, Illuminae, Gemina, and Obsidio. Then we have the Aurora Cycle by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, Aurora Rising, and Aurora Burning. Then we have the Curse Breakers trilogy by Bridget Kemmerer, A Curse So Dark and Lonely, A Heart So Fierce and Broken, and A Vow So Bold and Deadly. The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. And then there's all of my Christina Lauren. None of it's a series, but it's all by Christina Lauren. Roomies, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, My Favorite Half Night Stand, The Unhoneymooners, Twice in a Blue Moon, The Honey Don't List, Inner Holidays, The Soulmate Equation, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee, and finally for this shelf, Wait for Me by Caroline Leach. In Another Time by Caroline Leach, Winter Spell by Claire Legrand, Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. Then I have the Legend trilogy by Marie Lu, Legend, Prodigy, and Champion. I have the Warcross duology by Marie Lu, Warcross, and Wildcard. Then I have the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash. Then I have the first 3 books in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, also by Sarah J. Maas, A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin. Continuing on, we have the last of my Sarah J. Maas books. So we have the 4th book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series, A Court of Silver Flames, and we also have Sarah J. Maas's House of Earth and Blood. I have the first 3 books in the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi, Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me. We've got the first 2 books in the Serpent and Dove trilogy by Shelby Mahurin, Serpent and Dove, and Blood and Honey. And then we have the first 2 books in the Falconer trilogy by Elizabeth May, The Falconer, and The Vanishing Throne. Continuing on, we've got the last book in the Falconer trilogy by Elizabeth May, The Fallen Kingdom. If I Never Met You by Vari McFarlane, Just Last Night by Vari McFarlane, Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore, The Mirror Season by Anna Marie McLemore. Then we have the first 2 books in the Nightmareverse trilogy by L.L. McKinney, A Blade So Black, and A Dream So Dark, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Then we have the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. We have the Renegades trilogy by Marissa Meyer, Renegades, Arch Enemies, and Supernova. Then we have the Twilight Saga by Stephanie Meyer, Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, The Short Second Life of Brie Tanner, and Breaking Dawn. Continuing on with Twilight books, Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer, and Life and Death by Stephanie Meyer. And then we have The Host by Stephanie Meyer, Within These Lines by Stephanie Morrill, Rogue Princess by B.R. Myers. Then we have the Chaos Walking trilogy by Patrick Ness, The Knife of Never Letting Go, The Ask and the Answer, and Monsters of Men, The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. Then I have the Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. My True Love Gave to Me, 12 Holiday Stories, edited by Stephanie Perkins, Geekerella by Ashley Poston, The Edge of Never by J.A. Redmersky, The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. Then we have the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan, The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. Always Forever Maybe by Anika Rose Rissi, A List of Cages by Robin Rowe, and An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Then we have the Divergent trilogy by Veronica Roth, Divergent, Insurgent, the Collector's Edition, Allegiant. Then also by Veronica Roth we have the Carve the Mark duology, Carve the Mark and the Fates Divide, The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg, Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and then I have the first book in the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, The Philosopher's Stone, and this is the Hufflepuff edition. Continuing on, we have books 2 through 7 of the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, The Chamber of Secrets, The Prisoner of Azkaban, The Goblet of Fire, The Order of the Phoenix, The Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows. If that wasn't clear, those are also the Hufflepuff versions. Then we have the Promised Neverland series by Kayu Shirai and Pasuka Demizu. I deeply apologize for mispronunciation of that. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6, Volume 7, Volume 8, Volume 9, Volume 10, Volume 11, Volume 12, Volume 13, and Volume 14. Bonds of Brass by Emily Skritsky, The Worst Best Man by Mia Souza. Then I have the Wolves of Mercy Falls trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater, Shiver, Linger, and Forever. And then also by Maggie Stiefvater we have the first 3 books in the Raven Cycle series, The Raven Boys, The Dream Thieves, Blue Lily, Lily Blue. I apologize if things are a bit shaky from here on out. We've had to abandon the tripod because it does not go low enough for the bottom shelf, so I'm holding the camera in my hand. We have the last book in the Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, The Raven King, House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland, All Our Yesterdays by Kristen Terrell, You've Reached Sam by Dustin Teo, Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan Thomas, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. Then we go into the After series by Anna Todd, After We Collided, After We Fell, After Ever Happy, and Before. The Spring Girls, also by Anna Todd. Then I have the first 3 volumes of Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Witchfinder by Ruth Warburton, Everywhere, Everything, Everyone by Katie Warner, The Fill-In Boyfriend by Casey West, Illusions of Fate by Kirsten White, Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegeman Broker. And then we have the first 2 books in the Crave series by Tracy Wolfe, Crave and Crush. And then we have our final little chunk of books before we go over to my classics and non-fiction shelf. So to start off with, we have the next book in the Crave series by Tracy Wolfe, Covet, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, Fight or Flight by Samantha Young, Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, and The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. And now let's go over to my classics and non-fiction. So on the top of my classics and non-fiction shelf, I do have a few things. I have a picture book of the story of Barbie and the woman who created her. This candle that looks really pretty. This book called A Little Girl's Gift by Lawrence Elliott, which I stole from my mum. Uncle Sam's Money Box by Mrs. S.C. Hall. This is a family heirloom that's been in the family since the 1800s and is in many pieces. I have a couple of little bluebird china ornaments that I got from my grandma's china cabinet when she went into a retirement home, and these beautiful rabbit bookends that my aunt got me for my 21st birthday. And between those I have my Puffin V&A cloth-bound classics, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame, and Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery, Hans Christian Andersen's Complete Fairy Tales, Aesop's Fables. Then I have the Chronicles of Narnia series by C.S. Lewis, The Magician's Nephew, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, and The Last Battle, Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. Then I have my Puffin cloth-bound classics, A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett, Black Beauty by Anna Sewell, and Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. Then I have my Penguin Christmas classics, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, Christmas at Tonson Hall and Other Christmas Stories by Anthony Trollope, The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus by L. Frank Baum, A Merry Christmas and Other Christmas Stories by Louisa May Alcott, The Night Before Christmas by Nikolai Gogol, I don't know how to say that name, The Nutcracker by E.T.A. Hoffman. Then I have my Penguin English Library classics, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy, The Call of the Wild by Jack London, Animal Farm by George Orwell, 1984 by George Orwell, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, and finally The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I have one book in the Vintage Classics line, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Then we have the Pelican Shakespeare editions, Macbeth, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Othello, Romeo and Juliet, and Twelfth Night, all by William Shakespeare. Then I have 2 books in the Penguin Black Classics line, The Odyssey by Homer and The Aeneid by Virgil. Once again, we have to do this handheld because fuck my life. So this is my non-fiction. Dear Ejawale, or A Feminist Manifesto and 15 Suggestions by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and Still I Rise by Maya Angelou, The Best We Could Do by Tai Bui. I'm sorry about that pronunciation, I'm sure that's wrong too. The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given, Homebody by Rupi Kaur, Women Now, The Legacy of Female Suffrage, edited by Bronwyn Labram, The Stranger Beside Me, The Shocking Inside Story of Serial Killer Ted Bundy by Anne Rule. This used to be my mom's. Look at it. Lucky by Alice Sebold. And finally, We Were Feminists Once, From Riot Girl to Cover Girl, The Buying and Selling of a Political Movement by Andy Zeisler. And that is all of my books. Absolutely every single one I own and have read. Yikes. So those were my bookshelves. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't bore you to tears. I hope this gave you a little bit of an insight into the books that I like to read, and not only the books that I like to read, but the books that I read that I keep physical copies of. I unhaul books if I don't like them, and also every now and then, especially if I reorganize my bookshelves, I will sift through everything, and if there's certain books that I no longer feel like I need to hold on to, they will get the boot. So this is just what my shelves look like right now. I hope you got some value out of this. I don't know what it would have been, but I hope you did. If you liked it, also leave a like. That'd be nice. Subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I'm uploading weekly. I'm trying to get it all under control and organize myself. But that's it for today. I hope to see you guys next time in my next video, and goodbye.